This video did not exist until you directed your attention toward it. Before you clicked, it was merely a wave of probability, waiting for a conscious observer to collapse it into your current reality. Today, we are going to explore one of the most misunderstood phenomena of human perception, known as pareidolia, or the act of seeing faces in random patterns. But we are not looking at this through the limited lens of biology. We are stepping into the quantum field. By the end of this transmission, you will completely understand your true power as the creator of your reality, and you will never look at the physical world the same way again. Have you ever felt like the inanimate objects around you were somehow watching you, or that the universe was trying to send you a direct visual message through the chaos of everyday life? To understand what is truly happening when you see a face in the clouds or the wood grain, we must first establish the metaphysical context of the universe you inhabit. You exist inside a boundless ocean of infinite potential, commonly referred to as the quantum field. In esotericism, this is the realm of unmanifested energy where all pasts, presents, and futures exist simultaneously as overlapping waves of probability. Nothing in your environment is truly solid. Everything is vibrating energy waiting for instructions, and the ultimate instructor is your consciousness. The act of observation is not a passive recording of events. Observation is the active force of creation. When you cast your gaze upon the world, your attention acts as a laser, forcing this chaotic, swirling energy to collapse into a defined physical state. You are not watching a movie, you are projecting it in real time. Have you ever stared at the textured plaster on your ceiling, the chaotic grain of a wooden door, or the shifting shapes of storm clouds, and suddenly a distinct, detailed face stares back at you? Medical science has a neat, clinical term for this phenomenon. They call it pareidolia. They tell you it is merely a psychological glitch, an evolutionary survival mechanism hardwired into your primate brain to recognize predators hidden in the bushes. But what if I told you that this clinical explanation is nothing more than a veil hiding a profound metaphysical truth? What if your brain is not hallucinating, but is actually performing a highly advanced act of quantum decoding? You see, your mind is not simply making up images out of thin air. It is translating raw, unmanifested energy from the environment into a format your three-dimensional senses can comprehend. When you see a face in a random pattern, you are catching a fleeting glimpse of the underlying geometry of the universe. You are looking directly at the energetic blueprint of reality before it fully solidifies into matter. This is not a trick of the eye. It is your consciousness tuning into a specific frequency of the field, reading the invisible data that surrounds you every single second of your life. To fully grasp this concept, you must understand that the human brain operates much like a biological radio receiver. It is constantly flooded with millions of bits of quantum information every millisecond. The vast majority of this data is filtered out by your subconscious mind because it is deemed unnecessary for your immediate physical survival. But sometimes, when your frequency is slightly elevated or your mind enters a relaxed, receptive state, the filter thins. The noise of the mundane world quiets down. It is in these moments of quiet observation that the quantum field communicates with you directly. The chaotic patterns in a marble floor or the intertwined branches of a tree are essentially static on a television screen. They represent the uncollapsed wave of probability. When your conscious awareness strikes that pattern, your mind desperately searches for meaning within the chaos. It searches for a reflection of consciousness itself. And because consciousness is the fundamental building block of all that is, the most resonant symbol it can project is a face. Let us dive deeper into the observer effect. In quantum physics, a particle exists in a state of superposition, meaning it is everywhere and nowhere at once, until it is measured or observed. Only through the act of observation does the particle decide where to be. Apply this magnificent truth to your daily life. The random textures in your environment are in a state of visual superposition. They are a soup of meaningless lines and shadows. But the moment you look at them, your highly focused awareness forces those lines and shadows to snap into a coherent form. You are literally collapsing the wave function of that specific piece of reality. The face you see was not there before you looked. You created it. Your observation gave it form. This is absolute proof happening right before your very eyes that your consciousness directly interacts with the physical matter around you. You are catching yourself in the act of creation. But why does this happen to certain people more than others? If you find yourself frequently experiencing this phenomenon, you are among the 1% of the population whose quantum receiver is highly sensitized. You are experiencing an acceleration in your spiritual awakening. As you raise your personal vibration through inner work, meditation, or simply an expanding desire for truth, your brain's capacity to process multidimensional data increases. You are no longer solely bound by the rigid, linear rules of the three-dimensional matrix. Your consciousness is beginning to bleed over into higher dimensions. Therefore, the visual field of your reality becomes more malleable. The universe begins to speak to you in symbols, archetypes, and geometric patterns. Seeing faces in the void is an initiation. It is the universe knocking on the door of your perception, asking you to realize that the world around you is completely alive and intimately connected to your internal state. Consider the emotional charge that often accompanies these sightings. Sometimes the face in the pattern appears serene, wise, or loving. Other times it may appear grotesque, angry, or sorrowful. This is where the magic of the quantum mirror reveals itself. The field is neutral. It has no inherent emotion. It merely reflects whatever frequency you are broadcasting. The face you decode from the pattern is a direct visual representation of your own subconscious energy at that exact moment. If you are harboring hidden anxieties, the chaotic lines will collapse into a frightening visage. If you are resting in a state of peace and gratitude, the pattern will reveal a comforting, angelic expression. The quantum field is using your environment as a canvas to show you what is happening inside your own mind. It is a real-time feedback loop. By paying attention to the nature of the faces you see, you can gain profound insight into the hidden vibrations you are sending out into the universe. This leads us to the undeniable connection between pattern recognition and the law of attraction. The law of attraction states that like attracts like, and that your dominant thoughts dictate your physical experience. When you see a face in a pattern, you are witnessing the earliest stage of manifestation. You are seeing how a completely formless concept takes shape through the power of your focus. If your mind can take random shadows on a wall and manifest a highly detailed human face in a matter of milliseconds, imagine what your sustained, focused intention can do to the larger events of your life. The mechanism is exactly the same. You take the chaotic, infinite possibilities of your future, and through the persistent observation of your desired outcome, you force the universe to collapse those possibilities into a single, tangible reality. Pareidolia is not a random quirk, it is a training ground. It is the universe showing you the mechanics of reality creation on a microscale so you can apply it on a macro scale. Think about the times when this phenomenon overlaps with intense synchronicity. You might be contemplating a massive life decision, asking the universe for a sign, and suddenly you look down at your coffee cup and the foam has arranged itself into a smiling face. Or you are thinking of a loved one who has passed away, and the leaves on the sidewalk form a perfect silhouette of their profile. These are not mere coincidences. The concept of coincidence is a lie invented by minds terrified of the profound order of the cosmos. What you are experiencing is the intelligent quantum field responding directly to the magnetic pull of your focused thought. Your intense emotional desire or questioning acts as a gravity well, pulling the surrounding atomic structures into an alignment that delivers a message. The universe does not speak English, it speaks in geometry, frequency, and visual symbols. The faces in the patterns are the words of the cosmos written specifically for you. But what exactly is the brain doing during this process? To call it a simple hallucination is a gross underestimation of human neurology. Your brain is a quantum supercomputer. When you look at a chaotic pattern, your visual cortex is instantly scanning millions of historical memory files, archetypes from the collective unconscious, and energetic signatures from the environment. It is performing a highly complex algorithm to find order in the disorder. This is exactly what the divine creator does. God, or source consciousness, creates order out of the primordial chaos because you are a fractal of this source consciousness. You possess the exact same ability. Every time you see a distinct shape in the random noise of the world, you are mimicking the original act of creation. You are asserting your divine right to organize the universe according to your perception. You are saying, where there is nothing, I see something. Where there is chaos, I bring meaning. It is also crucial to explore the phenomenon of déjà vu in relation to quantum decoding. Often, when people spot a highly distinct face in a natural pattern, they are hit with a sudden, overwhelming wave of familiarity. You look at the knot in the wood, and you feel as though you have seen that exact face before, perhaps in a dream or in a lifetime you cannot quite remember. This happens because the archetype you have just decoded is not new. You have tapped into the Akashic records, the energetic database of all existence. The field has arranged itself into a geometric structure that unlocks a deeply buried quantum memory. The face is a key, turning the lock of your temporal amnesia. In that brief second of recognition, time collapses. Past, present, and future merge into a single point of awareness. You are reminded that your soul has existed forever, and that the physical world is merely a temporary holographic projection. You must understand that the societal programming you have been subjected to since birth is designed to suppress this exact ability. The modern world demands strict adherence to left-brain logic. It demands that you only see what you are told to see. A brick wall is just a brick wall. A cloud is just condensed water vapor. This rigid definition of reality is what traps humanity in a dense, low vibrational state. By dismissing your quantum pattern recognition as a silly trick of the mind, the system keeps you blind to your own power. When you actively choose to engage with these visual anomalies, when you stop and marvel at the face in the stone, you are breaking the algorithmic trance of the matrix. You are rebelling against the mundane. You are declaring that the universe is magical, fluid, and entirely dependent on your interaction with it. This simple act of noticing is a powerful step toward total spiritual liberation. Let us shift our focus to the physical environment itself. Why do certain places seem to yield more of these visual quantum messages than others? You may notice that in ancient forests, near running water, or in spaces charged with high spiritual energy, the patterns become incredibly vivid. This is because the quantum field in these areas is highly energized and less restricted by the dense thought forms of the modern concrete world. Nature is not bound by the rigid beliefs of human society. It exists in a state of pure, flowing potential. Therefore, the unmanifested energy in a forest is much more eager to respond to your conscious observation. The bark of the trees and the stones in the riverbed are perfectly malleable screens for your consciousness to project upon. When you walk through these high-frequency environments, you are walking through a highly responsive, interactive holographic gallery, curated entirely by your own mind. Now imagine applying this understanding consciously. What if you did not just wait for the faces to appear, but you actively began looking for the hidden codes in your environment? This is a profound spiritual practice. When you sit quietly in a room, soften your gaze and allow your eyes to drift over the textures around you without judgment. You are consciously thinning the veil between dimensions. You are telling the universe, I am ready to see the unseen. As you practice this, the patterns will become more complex. You will move beyond simple faces and begin to see intricate geometric shapes, sacred symbols, and even entire scenes playing out in the shadows. This is your third eye awakening. You are developing the ability to read the energetic grid that underpins all physical reality. You are transitioning from a passive victim of circumstance into an active architect of your destiny. There is a reason why ancient shamans, seers, and mystics would spend hours staring into the embers of a fire, the entrails of animals, or the ripples in a pool of water. They practiced scrying. Scrying is the intentional use of chaotic, random patterns to communicate with the quantum field. The ancients knew exactly what they were doing. They did not have the vocabulary of quantum mechanics, but they completely understood the observer effect. They knew that by staring into the formless void, their expanded consciousness would force the divine intelligence to reveal itself in the form of visions and symbols. You possess the exact same neurological hardware as those ancient mystics. The fire, the water, the clouds, they are all waiting for you to look at them with the eyes of a creator. They are waiting for you to extract the hidden wisdom embedded within their chaos. Some people may feel a sense of unease or fear when they realize the environment is staring back at them. The ego is terrified of the unknown, and it is especially terrified of losing its grip on what it considers to be objective reality. If the patterns in the wall are shifting and forming faces, the ego feels out of control. It is vital that you release this fear. The universe is not haunting you. The environment is not a separate, alien entity trying to intrude upon your life. The environment is you. It is an extension of your own energy body. The faces you see are your own consciousness saying hello from the other side of the veil. When you embrace this truth, the fear dissolves into absolute awe. You realize that you are never alone because the entire cosmos is intimately, constantly reflecting your own divine presence back to you in a trillion different forms. Consider the scientific concept of quantum entanglement. Entanglement dictates that two particles, once connected, remain connected regardless of the distance between them. What happens to one instantly affects the other. You are fundamentally entangled with the space around you. You are made of the exact same star stuff as the clouds, the wood, and the stone. Therefore, the division between the observer and the observed is a total illusion. When your eyes lock onto a pattern and a face emerges, it is an act of quantum entanglement happening on a macroscopic scale. Your internal state and the external physical matter are communicating instantaneously. You are harmonizing with the vibration of the object, and the object is harmonizing with you. This profound interconnectedness is the very foundation of all metaphysical and magical practices. You cannot manipulate the world out there until you realize it is intimately connected to the world in here. Let us talk about the concept of time in relation to this decoding process. Often, the messages you receive through these visual anomalies are not just reflections of the present moment. They are echoes from your probable futures. Because the quantum field exists outside of linear time, all of your potential timelines are vibrating in the space around you. When you gaze into a random pattern and decode a specific image, you may be catching a glimpse of a future timeline that you are currently aligning with. If you see a symbol of abundance, a smiling face or a crown, your consciousness is reaching forward into the field, grabbing a piece of a high-frequency future and dragging it back into your present awareness. You are literally pulling your desired destiny toward you by recognizing its visual signature in the present moment. This is quantum time travel through the power of perception. As you continue to elevate your consciousness, you will notice that the nature of these visual decodings begins to change. The faces may become less human and more extraterrestrial, angelic, or purely geometric. Do not be alarmed by this shift. This is a clear indicator that your brain is upgrading its software. You are no longer just decoding the frequencies of the collective human unconscious. You are tapping into cosmic intelligence. You are beginning to process information from higher density realms. The beings of light, your spirit guides, and the higher dimensional aspects of your own soul do not communicate through spoken words. They communicate through the universal language of light, frequency, and geometry. When you see their complex, beautiful faces emerging from the patterns of the physical world, it is a confirmation that you are successfully raising your vibration to meet theirs. This realization should empower you beyond measure. If your simple, passing glance can force the chaotic atoms of a wooden door to arrange themselves into a recognizable face, imagine the terrifying and beautiful power you hold to shape the trajectory of your entire life. Your mind is the ultimate reality rendering engine. The sickness, the poverty, the stress, and the conflict you experience are also patterns. They are energetic structures that have collapsed into reality because of where humanity has placed its collective observation. But you hold the key to change the code. By withdrawing your attention from the patterns of lack and fear, and intensely focusing your observation on the patterns of love, abundance, and harmony, you force the quantum field to re-render your experience. You are not a victim of a predetermined fate. You are the programmer sitting at the keyboard of the universe. It is essential to understand that the mainstream narrative will always try to reduce your spiritual experiences to mere biology or coincidence. The system relies on you believing that you are a small, powerless speck of dust in a cold, random universe. But the phenomenon of quantum decoding proves otherwise. It proves that the universe is highly intelligent, highly responsive, and deeply invested in your personal evolution. Every face in the clouds, every pattern in the floorboards is a love letter from the infinite. It is source energy reminding you of who you truly are. Do not let anyone dismiss your magic. Trust your perception. When you see the unseen, you are doing exactly what you came to this planet to do. You are anchoring higher dimensional awareness into the dense third dimension. You are acting as a bridge between heaven and earth, between the unmanifested and the manifested. The next time you catch yourself staring into the void, the next time a face emerges from the chaos of a textured wall, do not look away. Do not brush it off as a trick of the light. Hold your gaze, breathe into the moment. Acknowledge the profound miracle that is occurring. Speak to it, in your mind or out loud. Say, I see you and I understand that you are me. Feel the resonance of that connection deep within your chest. By doing this, you are actively exercising your quantum muscle. You are commanding the field. You are stepping out of the illusion of separation and embracing your role as the divine observer. The world is a blank canvas of probability, swirling with infinite codes, waiting for your sovereign consciousness to paint it into existence. You are the architect. You are the decoder. You are the creator of all that is. The ultimate truth is not that you live inside a reality. The truth is that you are reality, constantly observing and recreating itself from moment to moment. The faces you see in the patterns of the world are simply the universe staring back at its creator. You are not a victim of random biology. You are a master of quantum decoding. You are the focal point where infinite potential collapses into physical form. Thank you for joining me on this profound journey today. If this transmission resonated with your soul, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to signal to the algorithm and the universe that you are ready for more. I want you to anchor this realization right now. Write in the comments, I am the observer creating my reality. Let this be your declaration to the quantum field. Now tell me, what strange signs, symbols, or faces have you decoded in your environment lately?